The 4 C's of content creation. Your social media should be intentional and authentic. You want to create content that will make your audience stop scrolling and start paying attention. Your content will create an intimate connection with your audience where they get to know, like, and trust you. I want you to ask yourself what it means to know you, to like you, and to trust you. How are you going to show up authentically yourself in your social media platforms? I also want you to remember that you can have a very public presence and a private life. You might be worried about putting everything on social media so people get to trust you. There is a difference between vulnerability and transparency. When you're being vulnerable, sometimes you might feel triggered or that you're oversharing if you're feeling that way. Then your audience can affect you in their response, and it might be causing them the same feelings. When you're being transparent, you might be sharing a vulnerable lesson that you learned, but your audience isn't going to affect you. You're speaking from a space of the intention to serve them, and that you're being transparent about the lessons that you've learned in your life, and that you're there to help. And their response is going to show where they are placing themselves in your story. There's a lot of value in you framing when you start talking to your audience, when you start connecting with your audience. Another great way to build authority in the online space is using the 4 C's of content. This is how you're going to communicate with your audience, using the pain and pleasure points you've already crafted and identified in your ideal client to make sure that you are connecting with them. Allow them to find you by sharing your story, your passion, your experience, and showing them how you can help. Let's dive deeper into the framework of the 4 C's. With the 4 C's, you're going to have 4 areas of focus, credibility, character, connection, and conversion. The credibility content truly establishes who you are as the expert. Here's the perfect formula for some credibility content. It's going to have a catchy headline like the hook. This is going to draw your audience in and resonate with them. It's going to have some educational information, sharing the best tips and tricks they can implement into their life, or the story that you can share with them, and the call to action, so your audience can interact with the post. Then again, the call to action is not always to buy from you, but to draw the emotion from them, for them to see themselves in your story. How do you establish yourself as an expert, but avoid being condescending? There's an art, and there's a science to it. If you're just saying, I have this authority, I have this degree, I have this experience, people might tune out. There has to be a balance to it. Empathy builds the rapport. The empathy being, I've been where you've been, I've walked in your shoes, you're not alone. This is where you can really position yourself in the authority in a space that creates the empathy and the rapport. But how do you do that? This is where you really start emphasizing the you frame. Just like when I'm speaking to you now, I'm not saying I'm speaking to you as a person. You can understand this. Maybe you feel this way. How will this affect your business, and how will this impact your life? Right. Make sure they can see themselves in your story. Make your audience the hero, not you. Even though you're sharing your story, your audience will often find themselves in that story. When you frame appropriately, you say maybe this is something you're dealing with right now. 10 years ago, when I was going through this, I know those feelings. The feelings of disconnect, the feelings of having a hard time. Maybe you understand what that feels like. See how that can really position your viewer to feel trust with you. But here's another example of a great credibility post, John Doe writes. Do you ever feel like 24 hours is not enough time in the day? These are 3 changes I made in my workday that helped me to build a more productive life. Move your to-do list from a notepad to a digital organizer. Stop trying to multitask. Use time blocking to your advantage. Now, when a new project gets added to my plate, I can still breathe. I've got this. These tiny shifts have given me confidence to tackle a big load at my work by allowing me to see one main focus at a time. Feels less when accomplishing more. An organized game plan equals more time back in the day. Let me know in the comments which changes you've planned to implement. You can see how that was clear. It was concise and to the point, but very much building the credibility of how they were able to create a framework and gave those tips away. The people reading that post are going to see that they know what they're talking about. Let's dive into the character content. Your character content is where you create the rapport through sharing your beliefs, your worldviews, your values, and the inside of what is your authenticity. This is where your audience gets to see who you are, unapologetically you. They're going to relate with the real you. This shows them not only the glimpse and behind the curtain, but this might be some of your routine or the talents that you have. When crafting your character content, consider what are some of the things that most people don't know about you. What are some of your likes and your dislikes? Where do you spend your time? What are some of the hobbies and talents that you have? What are you passionate about? Remember, people do business with people they know, like, and trust. When you're crafting your content with that in mind, it's okay to be vulnerable, but you don't need to get lost in the details. We want to model the best and delete the rest. Again, this goes back to where I was talking about vulnerability versus transparency. Show people who you are. Show them your life. Let them see you're a real person and that everything you do is a part of your brand. Your business is a part of who you are, but that you are not your business. Above all, you have to have fun with this. Here's an example of some great character content. Jane Doe writes, "My sister and I haven't always gotten along, but the older we get, the closer we become. Opposites attract, right? It was awkward because of our differences, but a couple years ago I picked up the phone, called her, and formally asked if she would be my best friend. We laughed for about 3 hours and haven't looked back since." Funny how a conversation can clear the air. Who are your polar opposites with but also best friends with? LOL. Comment their name below. Again, this is clear, this is concise, but it shows that connection. It shows that character that you know what it's like to go through a struggle, but we didn't have to share all the details of why we were disconnected with the sister. We were able to show that sometimes it's okay to pick up the phone and reconnect, and it could change everything. See the value of showing that you are a real person, you deal with real things, but there's a lesson often woven in there, and that's what that content can share with your audience. Let's dive into the third C. This is going to be your connection content. It allows others to connect with you and see you in a space of transparency. Your vulnerability and the things that you may resist sharing are often the most important things that will draw people into you. When someone truly opens up to you, it allows you to feel closer to them, trust them, and feel like you're a part of their journey. This is the exact feeling you can convey to your audience through the honest moments of your day-to-day life or past experiences. I want you to really think about this. The one thing that you might be most reluctant to share is oftentimes your greatest superpower. What is a story that you can share? What is an obstacle that you have overcome? Because your audience might need to hear that story. They need to see that the obstacle that they're facing, they can overcome it because you yourself overcame it. When you have the courage to share this with the world, that is what creates the sense of connection, and most importantly, the trust. Here's a good example of connection content. John Doe writes, "Can I be candid with you for a moment? I know what it's like to feel unmotivated and empty, like your fuel is at 0%. When I was in my 30s, I hit a wall. And to be honest, it took me years to speak up about it and to find a fix. You see, when you feel unmotivated in general, you also feel unmotivated to find a solution. I totally get it. It's now my mission to support those that feel stuck in a rut when it comes to their energy, to let them know there is an escape, and that with extra hands and a little bit of direction, it doesn't even take that much extra work. If you're in your 30s and know what I'm talking about, drop a flex in the comments. We've got this together. It's important that when you're sharing these lessons, when you're looking back, you can convey to your audience that they too might be going through this right now. Let's talk about the final C of your content, conversion content. What is it about conversion content that makes us nervous? Is because this is what allows you to make sales. The 4 C's of content without conversion content is equivalent to finding your favorite thing at the store, but not able to actually navigate where to check out. It becomes frustrating. For instance, it would be like building trust, providing the value, establishing the likability, but not giving your clients the opportunity to have more. Conversion content helps you to provide the clear directions on where your audience can go for more. When you're crafting your conversion content, keep a few things in mind. Offer your service to your audience in a heart-centered way. Focus on the tangible value that you can provide them, and focus on the problem that you're solving and how to solve it. Make sure your call to action is clear, concise, and compelling. This isn't a place to be clever or cute. We just need to be clear where they can go next. But what is the call to action? Jane Doe writes, "If you're a single mom who knows you are meant for more, I see you, I understand you, and I'm here for you." Over the past 5 years, I've devoted myself to finding balance between being a mom I know my kiddos deserve and building my dream business I can do from home. And now I have that formula and guidance to share with you. My one-to-one Moms Made for More coaching program just launched. And if you're that mom like I was, and you're itching to do more and be more, serve more and create more for your family, I know Moms Made for More would be a good fit for you. If this resonates with you and you want to hear more about my program, I would love to hop on a call and see if I can help. Pick a time that works for you from my scheduling link below, but make sure to schedule one soon as coaching spaces are filling up. Notice how Jane Doe made the connectivity to share her experience, but also invite the audience to schedule a call with her and to join her community. This is an effective way to create the conversion content. Here's something that I want you to get excited about. Creating content is just one part of the equation. Once you've posted, you need to follow up and engage with people who are interacting with you. Make them feel connected and nurtured in those relationships. As you do this, you'll realize the people who are engaging with you are actual, viable, warm leads for your business. I go more in depth on how you can do this effectively in another part of the Mastermind Business System, so check out the link below. Something that was really cool about the 4 C's, and this is where I get really excited, is that all of those examples that I shared with you were generated by ChatGPT. It's so powerful what you can do with these tools that are available to you. So if you ever get the writer's block, do not hesitate to use ChatGPT as a tool to help you write these posts. Here's 2 key secrets on creating powerful content. If I haven't said this enough, know your audience deeply and be authentically you. Be intentional about what you're creating in your content, because this is for your ideal client. Your content needs to be all about them. That is why we really dive deeper into that you framing. It's about putting them in the story so that they can have the impact, the transformation, and the results that you intend for them. Discovering your through line. This is the messaging where you're going to share in every piece of your content to create that connection. Here's a hint. It has to do with the transformation that you're offering and the teaching points that you've laid out when you were crafting your irresistible product framework. Remember, you don't have to write everything as content. There's other content types you can create as well, such as videos or audios. You can use slideshows, you can create some fun graphics, and even find memes that are relevant to your niche, and it will resonate with your ideal client. Get creative. Have fun with these pieces, because your content is something that you will continuously create and find diverse ways to have your ideal clients put themselves into this journey. Now that you've learned how to optimize your profile and creating good content, it's important that you get out there and you start posting. So I'm going to challenge you right now to go and create your first 3 posts for your social media. You can always go back to the hook story call to action if needed, but don't forget you also have ChatGPT that can help you as a tool. You can use ChatGPT to create the ideas as well as repurposing content that you already created. This is where you have to take action. You need to get out there and you need to start posting because people need to know that you are there to support them, that you can get them to the other side of their pain, and that you are someone that they can reach out to at any time. So get out there and make those posts. Sometimes all this information can feel like a fire hose and you have all you need to be successful. But sometimes we need a coach. Sometimes we need accountability. Sometimes we know we got to do the work, but we don't want to do it alone. If you would love the opportunity to work with our team to help you get this done, to help you be accountable, to help you get that first sale, that next sale of consistent sales, below there's a link. Reserve your spot and invest in your future success today. Sign up for the free webinar now.